Hello, everyone, and welcome to another SEOs Getting Coffee episode. And thank you for joining us for our coffee break to talk about SEO. And today we've got a great guest. We've got Azahara Corrales, and she is an international public speaker, AI advocate. Azahara, it's great to have you. At this point, we always just try and get you to speak straight away and introduce yourself because you would introduce yourself much better than we can. Please say hi to the wonderful audience.
Hello. I think you did a great job, so I don't know what else to say after that. Hello. I'm Azahara Corrales, and like Sean said, I'm an AI advocate. I've been working in AI for like the last couple of years, 3 years now. I'm a public speaker, so I've been talking about it quite a lot. And yeah, I work in marketing. I've been working in marketing for a really long time. So that kind of like was my specialize before when I go into marketing and AI naturally. Like we've been using AI for a really long time, so it was just like a natural switch. And now I'm like trying to get as many women as possible to use AI because there is a lack of use of AI within our gender. So yeah, trying to bring a positive change in the world.
Brilliant. With the general topic of today, I think we're going to try and stay around. With AI, it's very difficult to kind of stay on topic because it branches out into so many different things, and I'm sure we'll talk about many. But we're going to try and stick around, reshaping our kind of workflows with the help of AI. In general, just to kind of introduce that topic, how do you feel AI is changing the way that we approach, everyday tasks?
I mean, well, I will say completely, it's changing it completely, but also I will say it's changing it less than you may think. One of the things that I always cover in my presentations is that not that many people are actually using AI. And just because you are using it, you just give for granted that everybody else is doing it as well, but they are not. So we are seeing like two different speeds of change, which is like people that are really embracing it and they are introducing it for absolutely everything from the basic tasks of like, changing your emails and writing your content to like doing a little bit more like, I don't know, a specialized task, like introducing your workflows to change, like automate stuff
Yeah,
and things like that.
that's it. I think you're right there. I think we often take it for granted, like working in digital marketing, is that we're at the forefront of it and we're completely consumed by it, and we're always like in these things that. Whereas it's like yesterday, I was
We're the
walking.
early adopters, really.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So
Yeah.
I was walking on the beach yesterday, and Maggie and I were walking the dog, and there was someone on a bench that we just walked past, and they were talking. They were telling their friend to download ChatGPT. Like, oh, it's amazing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, whereas we've been using it for going on nearly 3 years. It's crazy how I think that like actually we get so consumed by it and involved in our own industry that we think that everybody's using it. Actually, a lot of people aren't. So it kind of goes
Yeah.
back to that like relationship for you and clients, I guess, as well. So yeah, it's really a really interesting point. In the sense
Yeah.
that do you find that it's usually people's entry point is the LLMs then?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah. And like to the point, like even within digital marketing, there is some people in, in my team, for example, that they don't regularly use AI for like everyday task. Which for me is like, how? Like I can't imagine doing my job now without using, your LLM for absolutely everything. Even for any doubt that I have, I just go and ask, I don't ask my manager anymore. Like that's for, yeah, like I will go to the LLM. But yeah, I think that's the entry point. Like some people are doing more specialized things. I think the natural way of doing things is that you use your LLM, then you start doing something more like a custom ChatGPT, and then you start moving more towards like, Zapier agents and a little bit more like complicated stuff. But that I think that's the natural flow of how people are doing things. And obviously later you have people in analytics and IT that they are doing more specialized things. But in terms of like marketing departments and teams, that's the natural flow of what they're using.
yeah, I agree. I think it also depends on how curious you are as a person, and
Yeah.
kind of, like I was super happy to jump in on like the high level on the automation side of things, complicated workflows, because I'm somebody who has been just waiting for a
Mhm.
chance not to start a programming language like Python from hello world. I wanted to go in with like automating
Mhm.
things. Whether that's the best approach, probably not, but it goes with who I am
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah. I mean,
Um, so what have you tell us, what have you automated like in your daily work? So you mentioned some of these daily workflows, like checking things on
mhm.
LLMs, and getting it to draft your email or whatever.
Yeah.
How much of that there is, and how much there is like the bigger automation side of things, and if you can
Mhm.
give us some examples, that
Yeah.
would be great.
So, what I did, and I think, and I recommend that anyone that wants to start, like, introducing AI within their workflows, the first thing that you need to do is basically look at what takes most of your time, or what is something that you just don't like to do because, you'd rather to be doing something else. And in that case, when I look at my own work and things that occupy a lot of my time and they are tedious and horrible tasks to do, is reporting. And reporting is something so easy to automate. So that was kind of my first approach with my first custom chat GPT, was to like utilize, create this custom chat GPT that will do all my reporting for me. So that was quite very simple, like, job uploading all the historical data from the client. And then, because the good thing is, like, for example, if you have weekly reporting and it's always the same points that you cover, you can create some sort of template where you always answer the same questions. So that was my first approach. But then another one, for example, of the problems that I had, it was that we didn't have, because of the nature of the client, we didn't have a benchmark point of reference to create, for like the future campaign, just to compare it with the past. And it was a very complicated, because it's a very niche sector, this client. We didn't really have something to compare with and other competitors or anything like that. So another of the jobs that we did was like another custom chat GPT, where again, we just upload all the historical data. We created this very nice, I mean, it takes time because you need to clean all the data, make sure that they are in the columns in the correct way, etc. But then now it's fantastic, because every time that I need a benchmark for a specific campaign, I just go into my custom ChatGPT and I ask for it, and it gives me all the data that I need. So it saved me so much time when you need to create some sort of media plan, for example, and the client comes to you asking you, like, what's the expected CTR? Well, I can tell you what you got last year. So that's my reference now. And then you start building from there, and it just become better and bigger. I have used it for copy. If you have a retail client, I think that's so good. Like, you can just automate, and you can add all the information. I have created more like complicated things with like Zapier agents, where I have automated the update of numbers in a deck for a presentation, which is save you sometimes, when you like need to go into your spreadsheet and then manually copy all that numbers into the deck to present to the client. And it's like, prone to human error, because how many times we have typed a number and it's wrong. And also it takes so much time. You need to have two tabs and two data and put all the numbers. Now automatically, thanks to a Zapier agent, it's just changing the numbers automatically in my deck. So for things like that is what I use it. Like things that normally, it's not the end of the world, but actually saving me so much time. And I don't know you, but I'm so busy and I have so many things to do that just by helping me, it's just helping me. And it's great because I'm less busy. I'm still busy, but I have time to do everything.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions on kind of that side of things. How are you approaching like the data privacy side of it? And
hmm
also, how are you approaching the QA part of it as well? Because that's when it comes to reporting, that's the one
hmm
that has always been the trickiest. That's the one that you want to automate, but it's
hmm
also the one that has quite a bit of data privacy kind of issues attached to it. So my approach has always been to kind of locally host things. And I've been looking at using some of the NCPs and stuff like that to kind of bring in data, but I'm always a little bit careful when it comes to anything that's not locally hosted.
Yeah.
Because of the data privacy. So how do you approach it?
Well, lucky for us, and I guess that's the good thing about working on corporate world, is that we had ChatGPT Enterprise. So in that sense, you don't need to worry about the use of data and your reporting. I will say if you don't have access to something like ChatGPT Enterprise, as long as you don't share any knowledge that it can imply, like just because you're sharing the CTR of a campaign, is not a high risk data. So just be really conscious about what the kind of data that you use. And also, we're also quite lucky because it's quite rare to find companies that they have a framework established on how to utilize that data. And we actually do have that. So they have established how you can share the data also within the teams. So for example, if I am sharing data, I only can share within people that work with me on the same client. I can't share it outside of that team. So it seems really simple, but just by having that basic rules, you're actually protecting yourself from any problems that you may have in the future, and that data. And also because you don't know, you never know. Like I was actually having this conversation yesterday, and they were asking me like, but what's the real problem of sharing the data? And it's like, the real problem is that you're putting it to a black box and you don't know if that data is going to show to a guy in India, for example, that for some reason is asking for something related to what you're doing, and then it will appear. You may not know about it, and that's okay. But, you never know who's going to end up seeing that data. So you just rather protect yourself and making sure that it's like, you are using it in the right way.
I think that's the key thing, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think we've been, and Emina has more so, but publicly, but we've been championing, trying to obviously the responsible side of AI. I mean, it comes from experience, and in the experience of we're from a generation, a period of time where we saw how the internet grew, right, and we saw how basically bad actors and people would use the technology for not great purposes, right? They'd scam people, or they'd develop ways in which they could obviously do all types of criminal activity, right? And there's always a victim there, right? So I think that's my concern, is that you've got something similar now with AI, and it's about kind of trying to make sure that you educate people of how to use it responsibly earlier than people potentially were educated on how to use the internet responsibly and safely, right? So
social media and
social, with
I
all
always
the
think
things
of
we said about
social
data.
media. I
Always.
always think of how social media was running rampant till like legislation had to only now have the slow wheels of government have only now started turning on some of these things that have been happening for years. Look at the DOJ the DOJ trial that's happening at the moment. So
I guess
it's better earlier. Let's do it earlier this time around.
Yeah.
But that's the the downside with those changes is obviously I think data then becomes less accessible to us as marketers. But I think it's a balance that we just have to we have to make, really, and to obviously ensure people's safety. But that's the key, I think, for me, is that with AI and is exactly that, is that you've got a tremendous power at the moment to be able to kind of shape what it's going to become and do it responsibly, and you can miss that boat very quickly, I think.
Yeah. I also think like you can use it the other way around, that not many people are thinking, that is like there is certain data that you can share on your own benefit as you're basically feeding. It's something that I have noticed with my own brand, where it's like the data that you feed to the language model, then it can be a positive for you, because then when someone search for you, because the language model have access to that data that you've been feeding about yourself, then it just kind of feed on that branding side of language model that people don't realize about. So you can control that as well. So as long as it's not, sensitive data that you shouldn't be uploading, you can also upload data on purpose. So you make sure that when someone is searching for your brand, the right message is coming out. So that is also the other side of the thing that marketeers are not really realizing, that is like you can feed the right data so you can always show in the way that you want to be shown in the
Of
language
course.
models.
And it's this consistency as well across channels and stuff like
Yeah.
that. All right. So you gave some really good advice around how to decide what to automate and what to do manually. You've mentioned that for you, it's about kind of what don't I really like doing? What do I find? Is there anything else that you use to kind of decide whether you're going to go to an LLM, manual, or a hybrid approach? Because I know many are having this kind of, oh, should this be automated or not? So
I just use AI for everything. Like it's just part of my day to day now.
I love
Like,
that.
you know what I mean? Like I can't conceive my day without having
It's scary a little bit, isn't it? It's a little bit scary. It's like the same when, so I used to, like, I've been around for quite a long time. My like first website was 2004 or something, like ridiculous. And back then, and this is late for like the early adopters of Google and the internet, that started much before. But even with me, when I discovered Google, a few years down the line, I was like, oh my God, like if somebody took it away, I don't think I'd be able to do my job. I don't think I would be able to study. I don't think I would be able to. And that feeling is creeping up a little bit with ChatGPT. But do you feel it's making us more, and I was wondering the same thing, I don't think I have the answer. Is it making us more strategic and better at our job, or is it making us lazy?
To be honest, I think in my case, it's really helping to go through a period, because I don't know how it is for you guys, but I really have noticed in the last couple of years, like with the economy, there is a lot more pressure in agencies, in marketing agencies to get a lot more done. Clients are becoming more like picky in how much they're asking and what they want to get done. And I think AI has come in a moment where it's very necessary, because otherwise I couldn't have juggled all the things that I have to do if I didn't have AI. So I think yes, you could put it as I'm more lazy because, I don't do as much. I don't have that thinking process as much as I used to have. But also it's in a moment where maybe it's not much about, thinking in more like, a strategy, but more like there is a lot of things that needs to be done because there is a lot of like tasks that they've been asked, etc. So I think AI has come in a moment where like that's great and it's helping to go through that period of time where it's like there is less about strategy and more about getting things done. So
sorry, Azahara. There was that. I think I saw this week. There was an infographic of a study that has been completed on users using ChatGPT. And yeah, sorry, I haven't got the references unfortunately, but just from what I'm describing, what I saw and what I read in the infographic was basically brain activity and kind of cognitive kind of processes that were going on when using ChatGPT, and the kind of conclusion was that it reduces, people are becoming cognitively absent when they're using ChatGPT. But it's similar, I think, because like I mentioned before, the internet, computer games, online gaming, all that stuff. We've heard this like TV. We've heard this time and time again. I think you
Social
take it with a pinch of salt. Yeah, because it rots your brain. It's like, well, yeah, but actually, it that space is taken up somewhere else. Then I don't necessarily think that and also there's different processes that are happening, and I think I think that the key thing is that going back to that question about when to use it, and it's like, well, okay, yes, if you're using it for absolutely everything, there is something to be said about, well, maybe you're using it too much. Like if you have a few too many drinks, like if you have a few, you partake in anything that's too much, right?
Yeah.
But I think the key is like, well, is this something that could be done? Like, would you be handing this over to somebody that helps you on your team anyway? Or
Mm-hmm.
can it be handed over and can it be something be put in place that can be done and automated? And exactly like you say, is that, clients and people, these days with everything that's going on in the world and also the economical situation, is that people really want increased, they want more for less, basically. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
truth. And then AI
Mm-hmm.
helps that, it helps us
Yeah.
achieve that.
Yeah.
But
And
you do
also,
have to understand what the LLMs are good for and what they're not good for.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of what I have a problem with is this idea, it's the AI bubble, isn't it? This
mm-hmm.
idea that AI is going to solve all of our problems and every task can be automated, which is, I mean, excuse my French, it's bollocks.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not AGI. We're talking about LLMs here. And I think when you're thinking about automation, where I start first is, what's the problem? So what is
Mm-hmm.
the problem you're trying to solve? And then you go to see whether LLMs are the best solution for that problem.
Mm-hmm.
So because of the rate of hallucinations that you get in LLMs, a lot of the tasks that people are using it for, unfortunately, are not the type of tasks that I would automate. And let me tell you, I tried. It's not that it's like a test and fail type of thing for me, because I at the beginning I got so excited about it, and yeah, I spent some ridiculous amount of time trying to automate things that were definitely not for automating.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's supposed to increase your productivity, but I've just spent like a day trying to get this workflow going,
Mm-hmm.
when actually I haven't defined my problem in the first place well enough to kind of understand how the workflow, I haven't chunked it out. It
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of the first time I opened up HubSpot, when I did like automation in HubSpot. And the first few times I opened up HubSpot, I went completely berserk. It was like, these really complicated workflows that I've developed, and I spent time on them, and the output was pants,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't, think about it before I went in. And that's the danger with like the automation side of things. And
Yeah.
also it's the bros, like the digital marketing bros, that make it sound like this is like, oh yeah, this took me like 2 seconds. No, it bloody didn't. It took you 2 days, and the
Just
output is crap.
yeah, 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 yeah. I also think that one of the problems is that, like, when people talk about AI, like what tasks you use AI for, da da da, we just give for granted that it's more valuable to use your mind than to use AI. And like, it depends for what. Like,
Yeah,
the process of thinking this CTR is really high. The problem is, the audience is very small, or whatever it is, why is more valuable that I think about it instead of a language model thinking about it? Like, why can I have a language model just thinking for
yeah.
me that kind of stuff? It's not gonna make me more smart to know, I already know that stuff, but it's just gonna save me so much more time if I have a language model telling me that.
But you would check it. You would always check it, and you would always kind of, it's the QA piece that kind
Mm-hmm.
of is really, really, really relevant. Like if I was to name two things to think about, it's your problem definition
Yeah.
and your QA. You absolutely have to QA, because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I've had all kinds of issues with them making stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You're not gonna
so
believe me, but I had never had an issue. Like, I
Really?
don't know if
Well,
it's,
this is, you haven't been burned. Maybe it's because you have ChatGPT
maybe
Enterprise,
that's what
and it's
that's what I'm
like,
thinking,
I don't
because
know,
I,
because they
I
do. I mean, like seriously,
yeah.
Azahara, there's been research that even like the best models, it's like over 30%
Mm-hmm.
of hallucination rate. So either you've been like super lucky with what you're trying to run,
Yeah,
or I obviously the enterprise model is going to be less prone to
I
it,
think is that.
but
Yeah,
it's not like
because I
you
have
can't
had,
have a zero, so you
yeah,
must have been
no,
lucky.
I have had hallucinations with Gemini, for example, where it sometimes just come up to me with some things that is like, what are you talking about? This is not what I asked you for. But with ChatGPT Enterprise, and now, like, because I had this conversation yesterday as well, where people were talking about hallucination. I was like, is this still happening? Because, like, for
It
me,
is
it's like
happening. Azahara,
non-existent,
it is.
non-existent.
I will send you research at scale that has been done. I mean, when you think about it, it is logical that it happens because
Yeah.
of the reward mechanism.
Hmm.
You know, they want, like, LLMs want to please you. Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
so if they don't know the answer, they will make one up.
Hmm.
And they
Yeah.
will also try and, don't get me started. Anyway, my two advices: problem, QA heavily
Yeah.
if you're going to do two things.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about, so you've mentioned some really good examples there. I know that you do a lot on the paid
Hmm.
side of things.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has been my pet peeve, and where I've been kind of thinking about how is there a space for LLMs, is this idea of breaking the silos between paid teams and SEO teams and things like that.
Hmm.
Have you used LLMs at all, specifically when it comes to kind of team working together and kind of breaking those silos? Has it helped there?
No, not really, because like that, like we're still going to different paces, I think, especially, between SEO and paid media. We like automation has been a thing for paid media for a really long time, and that's where we're going. Like our campaigns now, like I think it's next
All
year that
automated.
Facebook has announced that they are gonna like completely push the AI option
Yeah.
and get rid of the manual option. So, we are in a different speed of what SEO is doing, which is still very like manually and very like unaware of like language models. So yeah, they are using it for their own task in terms of like, content creation, keyword searching, etc. But
Which is
we,
both wrong to use it for that, by the way.
yeah.
But let's continue.
But then we are in a different, you don't have automation in the same way, like within the platforms as well.
Yeah.
Um, Between SEO and paid media is just completely different
Yeah.
speeds. So we haven't really. I guess I can see that more in the future because there's not gonna be another options when language models become the primary place of search and Google search become
It's zero
irrelevant.
click. It's zero click. Google
Yeah.
search is moving towards zero click.
Yeah, he's
So,
moving. Yeah, yeah, and then we won't have another option but to start working together because I think that we don't really know how that is gonna look in the future if in terms of like how paid media campaigns are gonna work versus traditional SEO, which is gonna be much more about working with the language model and making sure that you always show up when you have to, etc. So yeah, I think in the future will be a closer collaboration between two. But right now we're still doing our own thing, where it's like because I think that we really live in like two different speeds when it comes to AI.
which is, yeah, it's a shame because when you think about it, it's the role of SEO. We are no longer talking about search just on Google. We haven't
Hmm.
been talking about search just on Google for a while now. We've been talking about search on YouTube, search on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's much more, organic search. It's
Hmm.
much more blurred, the lines
Hmm.
between, for example, SEO and organic social media management.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't manage the account, but you would optimize the search experience.
Yeah.
You would feed that into, and it's going to be even more relevant with AI mode coming up and
Hmm.
diversifying your content and stuff. So I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think it's going to align naturally. It will have to align because otherwise you
Yeah.
won't you won't survive basically
Hmm.
in a zero
Yeah.
click search environment.
Mm.
And then the other side of things is I'm really interested how to automate some of these things as well. So, for
Hmm.
example, one of the problems that agencies have in particular,
Hmm.
bigger agencies, is you have a client that has several channels,
Hmm.
and you just don't have enough time to kind of come together and work together on it and make sure that the messaging is the same across all of the channels, from like basic learning. So learning from the data that comes in from the paid team, how can we use that in SEO and vice versa. So I've been mulling it in my head how to pull in that kind of data, and that's the bit that you can automate to make sure that everybody, the information piece, so that everybody is informed on this particular client. What's the ecosystem? What are we doing so that it's aligned? I don't know if that makes sense.
And I think that's why my theory is that the future is not going to be for the big corporations, because they take a really long time to adapt, and it's really difficult to work with like really big teams and make sure that they are working together and they are sharing this type of knowledge, while like smaller agencies, or even like a one person freelance, will be able to do all this thanks to having AI, will be able to do all this by itself, or, it will be much easier to put together 10 people that maybe each person is responsible for a different marketing perspective, to be able to share all this knowledge, while big corporations, it's just the change is just going to be too slow, and it's going to take a really long time.
Yeah, I think that's one of the major things that the public sector has as well as like big corporations, is that it's just the pace of change that things can actually be put into place. Is it takes far too long because there's so many processes that they have to go through to get things approved, and then actually so. But that's what promotes, like on the positive side, that's what enables new businesses and startups and other to kind of overtake. That's what enables kind of fresh companies and fresh innovative technology and all these types of things to kind of overtake them in a way, which is why obviously I think there is a general concern about, say, like Google, is because there's that they've got a lot of things that they need to look at, in terms of like making sure that they can kind of continue to wear their crown of having like an established kind of pull over the whole entire market, but that's the thing. I think it's that first kind of inkling that it's not always it's not, nothing is there forever, so
But I think, Emina, to your answer of like how to automate that, yesterday I had a really interesting conversation with a man that is working in creating agentic teams. And he has managed to create an agentic team of 40 agents, which for me is like blowing my mind. This is another level of AI
for me
now.
it's like that's super scary, man. I'm already
so
thinking they're making up stuff. They're
no, it's like unbelievable impression. Like it was like, amazing. So imagine a future where you have your agents, and each one, because apparently, so I was talking to him, and apparently each agent you train it to have special skills. And then they talk between each other and they organize, and then you can create like different organization systems where it's like very similar. You can create like very similar to an organization where you have a manager, and that manager is controlling the rest of the agents. So imagine a future where you will have an agentic team where, one will be responsible for the SEO of your brand, another one will be responsible for the paid media, and we won't need human teams to organize ourselves to talk. They will do it for us. And that's how, and then you will just have someone supervising that information that they are, giving you, and the tasks that they are recommending you to do are accurate. But I think
honestly,
that's
Azahara,
the step.
Love your enthusiasm, because I'm sitting here thinking, no, that's like the worst future ever
I
that
think
we
it's
could
super
have.
cool.
So like I'm somewhere, but I'd like to. I think, I don't think,
No,
have
I think it's
whole new
fascinating.
episodes.
I think at
It
that
is
point,
fascinating and interesting, definitely.
I think at that point I'd have to turn into Neo and start battling all the agent Mr. Smiths, in the round.
Yeah. Well, I'm mindful of time. We always finish on a low. We always finish with room 404, which it's on a high. You get to banish something into a room 404 that has really annoyed you. It can be marketing related. It can be basically anything that is making your life harder. Let's banish it into room 404. I want to say never to be seen again, but we know that.
Well, look,
sometimes...
I think everything should always have a chance of redemption, you know. So it's like,
Yeah.
404.
Yeah,
I
we
think is
had
the
this. I
perfect
wanted
fit, you
a
know.
room 410. Actually, that's what I wanted. Go ahead, Azahara. What would you like to banish?
What I would like to banish. You know that don't know why, but the first thing that is coming to my mind is that I don't know if you have heard about the fact that so you know that in certain countries they're already making mandatory to study AI since you are like 6 years old. It's something that they are looking to do here in the UK, but the conversations have been taken to have with like Meta, Google, so they are gonna be the ones deciding how the education in terms of AI of children's is gonna be in the future. So I will
I
get
hear
rid of
that.
that. I think they shouldn't be the ones deciding how AI education should be looking at. I understand they have the tools and they have the opportunity because they already have all the technology and it will be easier to agree with like doing it with them. But I don't think it's good for the future.
No, definitely
absolutely
no.
not.
I'm gonna be googling after this
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
see
take a
what's going
look.
on,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
gonna be like shocked by the whole thing. So
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
see, see. Yeah.
let's put it in
There you go.
404.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I don't think we will take that one back.
No, let's put it in 410 immediately. Together with GA4.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Azahara. We spoke
Thank you for
about
having me.
lots of different things. Like we usually we keep it like casual, and we like to go off topic and just explore things with our guests. And you've been absolutely an amazing guest. Where
Thank you.
can
Thank you for
people
having me.
find you? Where can people find you?
You can find me in LinkedIn mostly. I'm there. Like I started a thing where I'm like trying to post every day. So I started in January and I'm actually doing it. So, I'm always share very interesting things like this education thing. So, follow me on LinkedIn. Maybe you get something quite interesting with you. And yeah, I also have a website. So if you just Google azaharacorrales.com, you will find me there.
Brilliant.
And maybe in
Thank
some
you.
sort of conference talking or something like that.
Yeah. Thank you
Fantastic.
very
Azahara,
much.
thank you so much. It's been great. Thank you for joined us. Yeah, please do leave a comment and join the conversation. If you've got anything to add, we'd really love to hear from you, whether it's a question for myself, Emina, or Azahara. It'd be great to hear from you. Thanks again. Thanks for a great episode of SEOs Getting Coffee, and hopefully we'll see you next time. See you later.